So, uh, Perdiri and Rumpel, you are from the Isle of Albion, a world um, much like the history we knew some um, 1600 years ago. And you have traveled from somewhere else in the island. And at some point, you came to a marshy riverland in the far north. And it's said that far north in Albion, no one has crossed this river and returned to live to tell of it. There are lights in the skies that dance at night. People hear strange noises. And besides all that, these borderlands here on this river in the far north of Albion are infested with brigands and bandits and people in dark cloaks that said that they have evil enchantments and wolves and beasts. And the kingdoms of this place have begun to decay. It is a lawless place that needs adventurers and is willing to pay them. And so, you have heard of this mercenary adventuring company called the Hounds of the Pine. And you've traveled this disused and overgrown east-west road that runs south of the river. And along this salty river valley, you have found that it has not met your expectations. And in fact, there are hamlets and villages and wayfaring inns and minor dirt roads. And here in the season of, it is now Iraq the 26th of Light's Tide, the weather has turned, and it is no longer frozen. It is gloomy and rainy and muddy constantly. It will be for months probably, but passable. And so people are out and about their work, trying to make the most of Light's Tide before Adventure Tide comes. And you come to a set of gates. These are a wooden palisade, some 20, maybe 25 feet tall, manned with wooden towers, rustic. This is no place of stone and battlements. These are people that made use of what they had available in the land. And you pass through that gate and you find a second gate. And all about this, there are slums and hovels and mud and daub. And passing through the second gate, you find that there are sometimes buildings 2 and 3 stories on this narrow little peninsula. And there are docks and tradespeople, fires, a forge, and a little church whose bell you can hear ringing when you made your way in. And it's here that you meet in the mercenary lodge the Captain Gulvar. And he arranges a meeting with the Hounds of the Pine to agree to take you on and to work with them. And that's where you are, perhaps a week later after you've arrived. It's probably been about a week. And at this point, you all know each other well. But for the sake of the players and not the characters, let's go around the table. This tavern, it's called the Bristleback Inn. The innkeeper is a rugged and hardy woman with incredible speed, and this place is packed. And there are travelers and people that come in here constantly. The tables are full, but this is a rugged wooden riverside wayfaring inn. that is really bursting at the seams with the number of patrons it's trying to accommodate. And so you sit at a big, sturdy wooden table, and you have plain earthen and wooden mugs filled with cheap, disgusting ale. And yeah, so you are planning your adventures. This would be on the evening of Erok of the 25th. Starting with Flanagan. Who is Flanagan?
Well, did you just mention my name? It cut out for a second there.
Yeah. I said, who is Flanagan?
Okay, so so we're all sitting around a table at the inn, right?
Yep, as usual. It's the night before you're about to go on your adventure, and you about a week ago hired these people and brought them on. So it's been about a week. You know them.
Yeah, so you would have met Flanagan when you were first introduced to the Hounds of the Pine as kind of the captain of the Hounds, in a way. I think we had a different name for it, but he's the acting kind of militia head. And he's kind of sickly looking for someone who's the head of a mercenary company. He's or whatever it is, a protectorate or something. He's thin. He's got a scar on his face. He has a drawl like he grew up working the land in a farm or something. He's got a big. He's often cold and sits by the fire, and he's got a big. Even inside, sometimes he wears this big Yeti fur cloak inside. But he's friendly, but a little. You'll get to know him, I guess. He likes walking his mule Birdie around. Every night he walks Birdie around the inside of the walls of Caden's Rest. And he always wears gloves. He's always got big gloves on his hands, and the fingers inside the gloves seem longer than usual as well. And he wears a snakeskin cloak, a black, and the scales on it are huge, like the snake must have been massive.
All right. What about Algar Dexton?
The most striking thing that both of you will experience about Algar is how often he is on his way from one place to another. He never seems to be at peace doing one thing. He is always in the process of transitioning from one errand to another, juggling multiple responsibilities and small trades. He works at the Hounds of the Pine primarily as a groundskeeper, where he continually hectors the hired help to improve the carpentry and the roofing to his standards, going over the flooring and making sure things are clean, and generally fussing over things in a way which would indicate that he's from a more civilized, more pampered place, except that he himself is always in a state of general discontentness. He is a man who is industrious to an inscrutable fault, and yet he always seems to have his head in the clouds. He's a man who's consumed with some distant thoughts. He's not unfriendly, but it's difficult for him to keep track of you. He's often distracted by something else. You never seem to fully occupy his thoughts.
Nice. All right. What about Magnus?
So, sorry, I'm bringing up. He's going to spend many nights in the inn, and he's quite personable. And he keeps a guy near him named Locken, who's not personable, but with whom Magnus is quite personable. This Locken is, he looks like a creep, I think, is what the way Ross described him. And then he retires to his tower, and he doesn't invite anybody inside. And then he goes up to lights are lit in each window, and sometimes strange noises are heard. Loud screechings of an unearthly language. But he's personable enough. Right. Always a smile.
Yep, and Locken does indeed look like like a creep by comparison. I agree with that. And he does always seem to be at Magnus's side. And then there is Father Bloombad.
Yes. Father Blumbad is a hard-faced, clean-shaven man. He always wears highly polished plate mail armor. He also wears a cloak made of snakeskin of the same material, and he meets every new raft full of people that comes. He meets at the docks and casts detect evil on them. When people come through the front gate, he casts detect evil on them. He's here to wipe out evil and abominations.
All right, and I apologize. I'm gonna mispronounce this again, but
Perderi.
Perderi. And the funny thing is, that is the most sensible pronunciation of that name. Like that should be, yeah, Perderi. Perderi. All right. Tell us about Perderi and the last week since he's no longer footsore and has warmed his feet, dried his muddy boots by the fire, and taken on the hospitality of these black-cloaked warriors. What would Perderi come to be known as?
Sure. Perderi is he's not a very large man. He's not a very small man. He's kind of very average in a lot of ways as far as stature. But one thing where he stands out is when it comes to celebrating. He enjoys any reason to celebrate, whether it be arriving safely in town, whether it be a calm night, whether it be anything else. He enjoys finding those little moments of light. He hasn't really had it in him to service his gear, so he's still heavy with the dust of the trail, but he always seems at the ready. He comes wearing plate. He always has a helmet kind of like propped up on top of his head, ready to be pulled down at a moment's notice. Seems like he might have been caught unawares at one time and passed in his life, and has decided to never be found the same way. But he's very loud, but very like warm, boisterous. He likes bragging, but he has an air when he brags that it's all in good flair and favor, and not necessarily all true. It seems he enjoys the kind of storytelling.
Well, that brings up two questions before I get to the next character. Have you all received your rumors yet?
Received our rumors.
That is so. Perderi and Rumple.
Oh.
I have not.
Then my next question... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, where would it be?
I was supposed to give them to you.
Oh.
How much money would Perderi have blown in? So, a little background information. When you arrived here, you had been told that this was a lawless frontier, devoid of life, probably. And you arrive and find that it's bursting with life, and there are people everywhere. Now, there is no stone. There is no keep. There is no one here that looks obviously like a lord. But there are people here, and when you arrived here, a blessed coincidence for Perderi is that it is the Feast of Light's Tide, the primary feasting season, and the time of dancing and revelry and things like that. So, would you have blown any money, and how much, or would you have kept your purse closed, given how much money you have?
I think Perderi is boisterous in word and attitude, but he is very conservative in action. So he would have spent coin, but he would have maintained some. He doesn't have a lot left, though.
Oh, very well. Roll a D100 for your rumor. you'll end up making one more roll. What'd you get?
42.
42.
Perfect
Your
number.
rumor is that you have heard something common is spoken of by the people in Albion. This is known. Legends say that in accursed places, like the Dungeon of Graves, which is very well, you know well that that is where you're going for your fame and treasure, that the dead rise and devour the living. And that is one of the greatest threats of the Dungeon of Graves. But you have heard stories of people that claim to have escaped the Dungeon of Graves. And they say that when the undead are struck, if they have no flesh upon them, they explode violently, shards of bone flying everywhere when they are struck. But if they do have flesh on them, they still explode, but with a foul greenish goo that sprays everywhere. And that it'll eat your flesh and turn you into one of them if it touches you.
Wish we'd heard that rumor before we got all over our face not too long ago.
He is not eager to put it to the test, but it is information that he takes and files away.
Roll a d10. In the times that you traded song and story here, the last week at Caden's Rest, you'll have heard one other thing.
And that is a 4.
You will have heard in your stories here that these black-cloaked people come and go from the demonic mouth of doom, sometimes on a weekly basis, dragging out with them coffers, treasures, sometimes things that remain covered, and no one knows. You get the sense that no one knows exactly what these black-cloaked people do down there or what they're dragging out. Outside of the peninsula, they are treated with suspicion and terror. Inside the peninsula, they are already thought of by some as saints, and they're whispered. They'll even say Saint so and so, and they're looked at with awe and reverence. And well, anyways, you'll have heard that they said that there are two places down beneath the demonic mouth where the air is quite bad, and that if anyone sleeps in those places, they do not wake up.
Did they give any details about how you know when you're in one?
No,
or just that they exist?
They were terribly cryptic, and it's completely useless.
Okay.
Yeah. No, cryptic and...
That's great.
Yeah, so... meanwhile, Rumple, Chagrin...
Yeah, Rumbold, I prefer to go by.
Rumbled.
I think of myself as Rumbold. Some call me Rumple. I don't like that. Makes me feel frumpy. And I like to think I'm quite dashing. I'm a little threadbare, that's true, but I've come here to make my fortune, so I'm going to throw in my lot with these Hounds of the Pine, see how it goes.
Nice.
Oh, he looks... You want me to tell you what he looks like?
Yeah, totally.
Actually, I don't think any of us mentioned what we look like. But yes, please do.
I know what you guys look like. So he's about 5 foot tall. He's wiry. It looks kind of like he could hold his own. He's got leather armor, and he's fond of twirling a dagger. He's a little bit vain, and he has a habit of twirling his mustachio. There's not much there but stubble, but it kind of makes him look like he's whiskered. And so he's a little reckless, I guess, sometimes. He's scrappy.
Has he ever injured himself playing the 5-finger game? Have we seen that
Yes.
happen?
Yes. He's kind of weak about dares and things like that.
Nice. Well, roll a D100 for your rumor.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah, there we go. Did it go?
Yeah. What'd you get?
Where is it?
Oh, it's in the Roll20 chat. There's
Yeah. I heard it go whoop.
Sometimes it's delayed. Does anyone else see the result? I've had that
Yeah,
happen.
I did. He rolled a 47 and an 85.
Okay.
Can you see the chat?
So I've had that happen. I don't know if it's the same thing, but
Oh, it's in the chat on Roll20?
Yes. That's where all the numbers show up.
Okay. So on the right side there's like this settings thing. Okay, I see the chat.
Okay, hang on a second. So at the top of the right side of the settings thing, there's 6 buttons. You want to press the leftmost one, the one that looks like voice bubbles.
I apologize.
There's basically 6 different parallel sidebars that you can pick between.
Have you used Roll20? Have you, and AJ as well? Have you guys used Roll20 before?
I've messed around with it. I've never gotten to play a game in it.
Okay, there's a couple of things I absolutely want to point out. The music volume. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if it's blaring your eardrums. Top right-hand corner. Okay, you got it changed. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, that's usually. I apologize. I usually put that. And then on the left-hand side, on the kind of bottom left, there's a die symbol, and that's where you can choose your die that you want to roll. And of course, in the top right, you have those symbols like Richard said. One of them is a journal, and that's where you can access your character sheet. And on your character sheet, for Rumbled, for example, you can click next to where there's a die symbol. It will automatically roll. For example, there's a saving throw, and it'll tell you if you succeed on it or not. Or you can do, a door check, a forced door check, and it'll automatically tell you.
Can I try that right now? Just
yeah, or you can do a longsword attack, and it's already got it all worked out for you.
Oh, that's cool. All right.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So, okay.
You just want to make sure as you level up that you keep track of your attack bonus and add it yourself to the character sheet as it goes up and stuff like that.
That is true. I think we've all forgotten that at one point or another.
In fact, if you're a fighter, well, anyway, I don't know. Yeah.
I gave Perderi his bonuses as a fighter. Okay, so this one's kind of a big deal. So let's talk about Rumbled here, okay? He wants to make his fortune.
You can call him Rumple. It's okay.
He wants to make his fortune. He's heard of the Hounds of the Pine. He's heard of the Dungeon of Graves. This is a common legend, that there's this place where the Army of Light marched across Albion and laid low demonic enemies of the light and the one true God in ancient times. And that Army of Light was also destroyed, or vanished at the very least, and never seen again. And it is said that on the eastern coast of Albion, in the far north, there is a place full of tombs and cairns and winding mazes and labyrinths called the Dungeon of Graves. And, of course, you expect that these black-clad, cloaked warriors, that is just where they're making their fortune. Which you have noticed when you're on the peninsula, that it has brought in stonemasons and workers and tradesmen, craftsmen and stuff. It's obvious that they're wealthy. They have weapons, and Magnus, you can see, has, Don't you have like a cool cloak with stars? Or is that from another game? I can't remember.
I do. I don't always wear it. It would be ostentatious to do that.
All right. I don't think it would be too hard to find out in time that they are quite wealthy.
I mean, they do see my tower is standing there.
There is
One hardly
literally
needs a cloak.
And it's completed, by the way. You have a wizard's tower that's 20 feet
It's
tall.
completed, yeah, up to 20. It's going to get higher than that, but
Yeah.
20.
So it's obvious they're wealthy, so you assume that they must have found this wealth in the Dungeon of Graves. That's where it said that you could find it. But you have traveled here because you have heard, and it's up to you if you want to share this, you have heard something else. Yes, there is the Dungeon of Graves in the hills in the far northeastern border of Albion. But you have heard that in the rocky caverns along the coast of the Dungeon of Graves, that raiders and pirates and even ancient fell entities have hidden the very choicest treasures, and that it might be a high risk but most high reward endeavor to make your way within those caverns on the coast. And
Is there a road along that coast?
you haven't heard. Don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. But you can also roll a d10. Okay, a 4. Yeah, re-roll. He just had a 4. Three. Okay. In the night, now this is something that all of you have heard or even seen. That there have been robed figures skulking in the dark outside the peninsula. One of them, Rumpel, tells you from an alleyway, gives an ominous whisper that if you go into the Dungeon of Graves, beware the hands. And he raises...
Beware the hands?
Yeah, beware the hands, and he raises his left hand. And then disappears back into the alleyway into the darkness.
Kind of creepy.
Yeah. That's
not good.
That has been your week here in Caden's Rest. Now, I hand it over to Magnus, but before I do, to make what plans you want to make. But before I do, a carrion bird, or something like a raven, flies through the open door as a patron tries to enter. They're startled as this nasty, dirty, large bird flies, gathers everyone's attention as it flaps its wings, lands on your table in front of Algar, and vomits a clutch of maggots, and then darts back out the door. And the maggots form something that Algar can see. Yes, send it down.
Algar, what the hell is going on, Algar? What is this now? I mean,
I know I often take these things in stride, but this is new for me.
Perderi, Rumble. This isn't normal. I have to apologize. This is the first time this has ever happened that a raven has come in, vomited maggots on the table. I mean, other things have happened, but please don't expect it. Working with the hounds is going to mean this kind of thing happens. At least
I've seen magical bird measures. I've seen mystic bird messengers before, but usually you just like tie a little. You just put a scrap of paper on their leg and you remove it and you can read a message. This is new. This is novel to me.
That's the bearing of a foul portent.
And I disagree. You should expect this kind of thing to happen constantly.
Never mind. I know exactly why it's. I understand exactly why it was delivered in the way that it is. I'll explain more later. Suffice to say that someone enjoys being dramatic.
And with that, what plans would you like? Yeah, go ahead.
I want to bring up that you said more about Monacan during the session, and I would like to have spent at least some of my week finding out and checking in with Monacan. So what's his general condition? Or should we go and meet him? I mean,
Yes. So there is something that Mother Sine, who is like the reeve, if you will, or the, I don't know. She is your representative, the kind of administrator, seneschal of the council in her absence. She has asked to meet with you, and Monacan is one of the reasons. The meeting is tomorrow.
Okay. Maybe should we explain for AJ and John who Monacan is?
so
I can't even remember.
yeah.
He was was he charmed by you? This is
He
just
was.
this
Yeah,
is
I
just
mean,
us talking, right?
My first. Well, I think I would probably choose to be discreet when talking about Monacan because I have respect for him. But in any case, I charmed him in the very first session. My fighter died halfway through the session. My 17 AC shield and bastard sword wielding fighter died in the first halfway through the first session. Just
Like I said,
just to let you know,
second rank, get a spear.
You can buy a spear if you wish, but also
and
Oh, I've got
Magnus-
one.
you can also be brave and be upfront. It's up to you, whatever you wish to do.
Yeah. And Magnus showed up and then ran into a combat between bandits and some sort of knightly order, and I charmed the bandit leader or whatever, and that was Monacan, and he stuck with us for a long, long time, and then he leveled up a little bit and got a lot of money, and then I set him free, and we haven't had a chance to keep in touch much since that time. Then another guy came along and tried to kill me in the middle of the night, and I charmed him, so now he's the guy that I have hanging around.
You just collect these people with Aachen in their names, don't you?
Well, it's not like I plan it that way. So yeah, that's Monacan, and I gather he's been setting up business opportunities as best he can.
It's an entrepreneurial sort.
It probably just means something like man in Woldish, and then Locke is like, swampy man, as if to say he's like disgusting, and then Monacan is like man's man, or they're probably like really banal names.
So as far as plans, I mean, I guess. So I haven't been able to contact him then? I haven't had any success getting a hold of him?
Yeah, if you've tried to get a hold of him, you have not had success. Though the people outside of the peninsula in the past week will have... you have found indications that some think he is a murderer, and that he has caused chaos in your absence.
It's highly unfortunate.
Yeah, it's a shame.
We had such a good working relationship. Hopefully these are mere calumnies.
One other thing that I'd like to flag is that in the rumors, or what happened when we were gone, was this might be the same thing you already noted, Ross, was that the Hounds of the Pine have noted that guards of the Hounds have noted riders moving along the Red Key at night. So is this the same people, Ross, or is this something separate?
That's something you would know, because that's your estate. So yeah, that's yours. You own that. Yeah.
Okay, so that's something. In addition to checking in on Monacan and meeting this lady, I'll just lean over the table and say, maybe you already heard all this, but Ross, don't know where the Red Key is. I think it's down south. Is that right?
Yeah, the Red Quay is what they call the poor fishing area. It was the initial area that you all saved years ago. Now, the fishermen.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's on top of meeting the Reeve, there's reports of riders moving along the Red Quay, and at night, I think that might be something to check out too. I mean, it's one thing to have people in daylight claiming this is their the rightful territory to own and taking bridges and such, but roaming around at night is another thing, and it makes me concerned.
I would agree. It would also make sense, I believe, to take the time to introduce our new compatriots to our resident esotericist, Ullman Dark. I believe they may have need of his services in the future, and even if not, I have a suspicion he has something important to tell us.
Oh, is that what the vomiting raven was about?
I can't get anything past you. Yes, that's what the vomiting raven was about.
Well,
He does have a style, doesn't he?
Flanagan just shakes his head.
all
I
right.
know, it was a
So
bit extra.
Step 1, Ullman Dark. Step 2, meeting with the Reeve tomorrow. You know, I also wanted to check in with the bailiff, but let's see how those two meetings go. Oh no. Oh yeah,
That sound effect.
that's right. Somebody had started lighting fires. I forgot about that.
You hear people screaming in the dark outside the tavern.
Well, let's run outside.
Off we go. Yeah. I don't think any of us are the sort to just sort of stand back and see what happens.
Yeah, spear comes out. Flanagan throws off the Yeti cloak and rushes outside with the spear out.
Oh no.
What?
You hear
Nice image.
your boots slap against the muddy ground. You can hear your breathing in the dark as you rush with your equipment out in the direction of the screams as others are running away. The thing that they're screaming about is not hard to find. The flames are a conflagration of flames are licking the night air 20 feet high. It is the chapel of Sir Galahad, completely engulfed in flame. There are people screaming inside.
Is there a well nearby?
There's a river.
A river?
Yeah.
Perderi's going to try to organize a bucket brigade.
You do that. You begin organizing a bucket brigade, and well, how do you do that? What does that look like, actually?
I mean, he's going to the first people he sees. He's going to try to like grab one by the shoulder, and you quick need help. Grab a bucket, grab a basket, grab whatever you can. We need to get this fire under control, and going to just try to herd like some of the people that are maybe a little more aimless into lending a hand.
Okay, so I'll announce some of the mechanics here. Let me start with Perderi, okay? I like that. So in this situation, I'll roll 2d6 for the reaction, and you got a good reaction. In this case, I would oftentimes ask. Your charisma is a 15. It's really, really good. So you got a good reaction from them, and you can have up to 5 followers. And so you do exactly that. And you organize a bucket brigade from the river, and people start hauling in water to put out what flames you can. You're confident that in having done so, the entire structure of the building will not be ruined, especially the stone, but what's inside is much less likely to survive. What were you going to say, Magnus?
When you say engulfed, like, can you see in the door at all? Like,
It looks like this image.
Then that's set ahead of time. That's nothing catches like that quickly.
Agreed.
Can I see figures of anyone? There's nobody running out? Are the doors closed or open or what?
It does
I mean, you
look
said
like it looks as if this thing was violently set aflame. You are confident that it was not set, more than 5 minutes ago. Like it's just only been minutes, because this thing is people are screaming, and
It-
you would have known. But,
Is it Is it just it's completely engulfed? Like there's no way you can get in and try to rescue somebody? Is there little pockets of where it hasn't been touched by the flame?
you could try.
I will try. If I hear someone screaming within there,
I'll
God
try
didn't give me- God didn't give me all these hit points for nothing.
Okay. Anyone attempting to go in can make a saving throw. If you have any bonuses against energy or magic, you can apply that in this case. It's not magic, but
Okay. Can I also use my fairy kiss as an additional +2?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I'm gonna fly in there,
Nice.
which gives me gives me max move speed.
All right.
Fly
You don't
speed
have to make
rapidly.
you don't have to make a save then. You just fly in there.
Okay.
Okay.
10.
I'm going
I needed
to-
11. I just barely fail.
I'm going to throw off my gloves and put on these other winged gloves that I got from those fairies that give me one-time use of +10 dex and +10 movement speed. They double my speed for 10 minutes. So I put these things on and I just go like, please, fairies, I don't know if this is going to do anything, and I just rush in the door and try to use dexterity and this enhanced movement speed to help me out. So I guess I don't know if that's gonna that'll help with the dex save. I guess if I have +10 dex, right?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
Okay, well I
totally.
passed anyways, but I'm going to remove that one-time magic item to have 10 minutes +10 dex and double speed to help out.
All right, so it looks like Rumble, Algar, Father Bloombad, and Flanagan. Is anybody else going to make the attempt? Now, of course, Perderi, you are doing the bucket thing, and you're dousing the outside and preventing this fire from, light forbid, spreading, which is the next concern. So
Yeah.
you've also prevented that. All
Can
these
I
buildings
try
are mud
to-
and daub and wood and straw.
Could I try to have them focus the next couple buckets at the doorway to try to assist?
Sure, yeah, you do that. Okay, so it looks like, and then Magnus flies in, so that's everybody. Okay, with that, 2 of you are going to take some damage. Algar, you take 6 points of damage, and Father Bloombad, you take 1 point of damage. But with everyone else, you are able to save all of the acolytes and all of the worshippers and pilgrims that have come. No one has perished except the interior of the building. Now, when it's all said and done, after hours of work, well, I should say, all right, you saved these people. You're starting to put out the fire. I'm gonna hand it back over to Magnus. Sorry.
Well, first of all, the acolytes need to be housed, and these people. I suppose they have homes to go to, but not the acolytes. Yes, they live. Did they live in the building?
That's right.
So we'll get them all set up, not in the inn, perhaps in the lodge.
Did they see anything or hear anything?
You asked them that, Father Bloombad, and most of them are shaken, but one of them, who you remember, he was the one who wept at Caden's wake, and he said he's still crying, but he looks you in the eyes and he says, "They wore black." Now, Father Bloombad, you are certain that anyone that has come into the docks or the gate has been checked by you since you've come back.
Can I ask a quick question? This is the Shrine of Sir Galahad, you said?
Yeah, the Chapel of Sir Galahad, the one church in the whole area.
This is the Church of Light. Okay.
There used to be,
All right.
It was the Way Shrine that was established by Folger.
Woo, that's big time. Bloombad, how are you reacting to all this?
Well, I mean, obviously we need to hunt these scoundrels down and thrash them.
Yeah.
Ugly.
You know what? I'm going to walk around the building right now. Once they're all out and in the care of others. If you're all okay with this, Magnus, if you're okay with this, one thing I think we should do is track. Like, are there people? Is there?
Well, Algar should
Oh,
attend
right.
to
Yes,
that.
I can do that.
Yes,
Yeah.
you certainly can, and the tracks should be relatively fresh, unless there was some sort of timed mechanism that made this happen. If
Or
there
if
were
they walk
people,
in the air, as you do.
I'll be
That's
joining
awesome.
you. Like, I don't know if we're all together, but I would definitely be with you.
All right.
And I think the shrine is like on the edge of the water somewhere, right?
Yes.
Like, so maybe like we should check along, like not in the main area of town, but maybe they went around the back somewhere, like down by the water where we could see prints if there's anything down there or whatever.
Okay. So,
Yes.
how does that sound, Magnus? They're proposing. So you've got a housing solution for the acolytes. They're proposing looking for tracks.
absolutely.
Okay, very well. Algar, I agree. This will be a full-on tracking check. Let's take a look at it. What page is it on? Let's see, Ranger.
Alright. Tracking checks are described on page 22.
I mean, you said it's
Fairly
muddy
simple.
all the time.
Effectively,
So-
it's a percentile check, and I want to roll low. How low varies slightly.
All right, this would count as city tracking in this case. Considerably harder. It must be no more than an hour old, which it is. Base chance to track is still 90%. Each time the trail changes, there's a chance for the ranger to lose the trail. So now, in this case, you have a... for what you will find, either way, you'll have a 50% chance to lose the trail.
All right. Pray for low rolls.
15. Oh. Is that
Oh,
the
yeah.
chance to lose the trail or the chance
No,
to track?
yeah, rolling low is good here.
Yeah. Algar, after about 10 minutes, you are absolutely certain where you see these people have embarked onto land via boat. Now, I assume that you have guards that watch the water. I assume that, like, Mother Sine is competent. The guards, you have like a domestic guard force here that was the barracks that was held by Odo Bristleback, right? So you have like a domestic guard force as well. And the bulk, all of them actually are stationed. If they're not in one of the towers that you've established, Flanagan, they're here, right? This is the heart of where you're guarding. So I assume the waters are well watched. Otherwise, Father Bloombad would not be able to meter traffic into the pier and to the gate. So these people, by some means, were able to. You see boat drag marks and footprints in the mud, and despite it's as if they came in here and were utterly unseen and undetected, despite guards looking right there.
Okay.
And you see where they go, because they it's clear to you, Algar, that they departed across the river and went in the direction of the troll swamps, where the goblin pirate captain led. They're on the north side of the river, somewhere in the swamps.
Right.
We should definitely speak to Open Dark of this.
I'm not sure how we want to proceed right now. Like, are we I don't know if I should just be calling out what I would like to do, or should I put it through you, Chris?
I mean,
as the caller on our.
Yeah,
I think
you
person
guys
with-
talk.
yeah.
With Chris.
A
Yeah.
person, yeah.
Okay.
As
so
far as
Chris,
I'm concerned, just
yeah, I know. I don't why I always get confused about this. One thought that right now at this very moment, I think Flanagan would want to, as somebody who's probably arranged the guards and knows where they are, like he'd be like, well, this is where they should be. I think that we should get some intel right now by just finding out why the guards didn't see them. Like, where were you? Are they dead? Like, that,
Important
before we
question,
see anybody else. Yeah.
Yeah,
Are
of
the
course.
guards dead? That would be important to know.
Yeah. Or like, do they not see? Yeah, who knows? So I think that Flanagan, if you're okay with this, Magnus, that would be his first thing is like, well, the tower's right there or whatever it is. Like, let's go find out, let's go talk to the guards and find out, where were you? That kind of thing.
Yeah, I entirely agree.
Very well. So let me resolve that really quick. It takes about another 10 minutes. I hear you say you also reorganize the guard to try to prevent any other kind of security breach. Like maybe
Sure,
wake up
yeah.
the last watch, and like double the guard and like all that kind of. I assume competent. Your most stringent security response in this case to prevent something worse. By the way, Perderi, at this point you have successfully fire braked the building, and the outside of the building is saved and the stone is saved. The heat of the building is low enough. However, Father Bloombad, the inside of the building is utterly cooked. You all have managed to save the lives of everyone inside that was worshiping and sleeping, but the artifacts are lost, and the inside of the building is ruined, and it will take probably half the money that it took to establish the church to rebuild it back the way it was.
Sorry. You said that we managed to save everyone, so we have successfully done a head count. Everyone is accounted for.
Yeah, you're confident that everyone, the acolytes, the pilgrims, everyone inside was rescued, and you're also confident that this fire will not spread, and the stone structure of the building, where the places where it's not wood, is saved. The rest will have to be replaced and rebuilt. Okay, so and the artifacts are lost, except for an adamantine case, which remains completely unscorched, but and of course any gold. What were we talking about? We're talking about you're asking the guards. Okay, so Flanagan, you go and you ask the guard. He says, what did we decide? Like you were like Castellan or something, because you have Captain Gilvar, who's your like the captain of the guard, and then what are you, like a Castellan or something?
Yeah, that's what we were calling it. That's
Okay.
right.
He says, my lord, what do you mean? We were on watch. We've been watching. The waters are clear. No one has come to the coast. Now, he doesn't know what you've seen. Do you tell him that you saw tracks and to point out where it is?
Well, I mean, some people came up on boats or something from across that way. They lit the church on fire, and they went back out the same way. Where were you looking?
You
That
show
doesn't
him,
make any sense.
you show him the tracks? Yeah. He comes down, looks, and sees the tracks with his own eyes. He's like, my lord, our guards are alert and awake. We saw with our own eyes. We were watching this very coast, these very rocks. No one came upon these rocks.
We know this is a man that can turn into a troll or turn things into trolls and back again. We shouldn't be surprised.
Unholy powers afoot.
You think it's that? You think it's that guy?
Him or
Yes,
Zil.
it's the same one who offered me 350,000 gold to part with my tower. Ridiculous price.
You said no?
All right. I mean,
Well,
I trust you. I mean,
his additional condition was that we
Oh.
dissolve the Yuba's code. So I said no. Yes, I said no.
Magnus, every time I think I understand the depth of you, you reveal new qualities worthy of my praise.
Listen, my friend, I come from a place with mirrors, and I have to look at myself in one from time to time.
We should get better mirrors here.
All right, Magnus.
no, we should.
What next? Any ideas? In particular, any ideas? Rumple.
I mean, I've got a gold piece left. If I can give a round of drinks to these people that we rescued, or just comfort them.
Aye, no lives lost. That's worthy of celebration.
Agreed.
If I find out
It
Monacan
is. That's
anything,
that's generous thought. Go ahead.
if I find that Monacan had anything to do with this, Magnus shakes his head silently, with a disconcerting glower in his eye.
I think Flanagan is just looking at Bloombad, and like this is this is the heart, this is the spiritual center of this community, and Bloombad's kind of like the institution that he stands upon, right? So he's kind of curious to see what Bloombad's reaction is with this. Like,
I have an 11,000 gold piece or gold bar buried under the floor of the chapel. I'm sure it must have melted. So
you're able
to begin rebuilding immediately.
Nice. You can do that, and you're able to recover the precious metal by the next day, anyways. Okay. Anything else for this night, Magnus?
Well, we're supposed to meet with the Reeve tomorrow, and so since it's nighttime, it would be appropriate to meet with Ullman Dark.
You go to meet with Ullman Dark?
Yes, I mean, he sent us a message, did he not?
He sent me a message.
Ah.
However, I think...
Well, and if you think we shouldn't go, then... But I think... Well, anyway.
I think it makes sense for you to come. If nothing else, recent events have... This is a good opportunity for us to discuss the matter with him. I believe.
Would you like some company?
Yes, please. I believe he has some knowledge of what goes on north of the river.
Okay. Let me put a party symbol in here.
I think that the next day we should just among all of us, I think we should address maybe when we talk to the Reeve, we're gonna have to find some way to address the community about this, because it's a major blow, right? And it's like right in the middle of inside the walls and all that kind of stuff. And Flanagan really wants immediate hard retribution. Like, we need to show that this does not fly here. You don't do this. Like, inside the walls is not okay. Flanagan wants to go over.
This aggression will not stand. Yes.
Yeah.
We should double the guard on the lodge also.
Yeah.
I've put too much work into its roof to see it burn now.
You're going to have to offer them an alternate worship site, Father.
Yes.
You travel in the dark after... This is probably, at this point, like early in the morning, 2 in the morning. The crowds have dispersed. You've ensured that everyone is cared for. All wounds are taken care of. Everyone has a place to lay their head. And this peninsula has never been more well guarded or alert than it has right now. And so you travel together. Your guards looking out at the water, patrols, walking in the streets, spears on their shoulders, holding lanterns. They see you walking up to a hut at the edge of the water in a rocky overface. Perderi and Rumpel, this hut, stands out of place. The villages and hamlets that you saw on the way into Caden's Rest were ramshackle and poor. But here on the peninsula, there were wooden structures on the piers, sometimes 3 stories tall. But this thing looks as if it belongs in a bog. It is this hut, and as you approach it, you can see hide, a simple hide covered entrance stretched across uneven length poles forming a door, and there's a horrible stench coming from inside, and a little trail of smoke trailing off into the clear night air.
Is your friend alive? It smells like death.
It is death.
I was a necromancer after all.
Yeah, you don't want to be coming in here for any just prancing around, going shopping in this place. This is a darkness and something that we've got to deal with and bear as part of Caden's Rest. As far as I'm concerned, he saved my life once, and I thank him for that. But it's also not a place that I like to enter anytime. Tonight I will.
Well, I for one think he's one of the few people you can certainly trust.
Trust you can, but I think he, as well as you, Flanagan, appreciate the distance you have. And I rattle the flap of hide that covers the doorway.
You do that, and you think you hear something flutter inside, a small movement, and a burbling, consistent burbling noise. Finally, you hear a shuffling, and a hunched man covered in a cloak that looks as if it has fetishes of feathers, big long feathers of some bird you cannot identify, hanging off his shoulders, hunched over with one big eye, opens the door and peers out of it. And he's like,
"Oh, Algar."
Hello again, Elder Dark.
Yes, good evening.
He looks around, he sees everybody else, and he looks at Algar and he says,
"Oh, did you bring others to our council? Are you ready to tell them?"
I am.
Out of character, are you serious?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Alright.
But first, tell me why you called me here.
You know that where we're going is where we can speak in private. Otherwise, voices and ears are all about.
This is true.
And then he looks at everyone else. Oh, go ahead, sorry.
I take a moment to regard Predarian and Rumbled, contemplating them a moment, weighing them. I decide, yes, no, they can come. These men, I trust Father Bloombad's judgment in them, and they seem good.
You think their minds will not shatter?
I will not rest the full weight of the truth upon them so lightly. I can speak it in such a way as they will endure. You underestimate as ever the fortitude of men. We have dabbled in madness before and thrived, and we can do it so again.
He makes a big
And thrived.
coughing
Where are you teaching
laugh.
us?
His back room. Don't worry about it.
It better be.
It's just your back room, right? Or
Yes, Flanagan.
It'll be
Magnus,
fine.
Magnus laughs and shakes his head. These are how legends are created, Flanagan. You understand?
Rumple
I understand
turns.
it all too well, Magnus.
Predare, Rumpled, you are about to be initiated into a matter of uttermost confidence.
Why does it smell so bad?
Alchemy. He performs works of alchemy at this place. And if you slit open a man, what smells do you find?
I don't stick around to find out.
Not fine ones, but
My own fluids are in a jar on that shelf over there somewhere. I'll just say that much. I've seen it happen.
well,
I'm
I
not
assume
even
those
kidding.
fluids are still from the jar. Listen, we could go on and on all night talking about who's emitted what fluids, but I'll spare us all the topic. Omen Dark, usher us within before we become enamored with even deeper discussion of each other's innards and
Flanagan, you
Sense.
have been there before, but I think that your mind has already blocked it out. But you cannot attend.
He points a gnarled finger at Father Bloombad.
Where we are going, the light cannot come.
Yes, that'll be fine.
He turns and goes into the darkness of his hovel. And it looks as if he is simply peeling away dividers of hide and I don't know, wood into some compartment.
On the way in, I just want to scan the shelves and see if there are any jars or vials that have my name on it, just out of curiosity.
Yeah.
question.
Inside of the hut, you see an area that has herbs and fungus. There are jars of critter things like eyes and appendages and stuff. You know, some of it you have brought him. But you don't see anything that could be like, you know, your perspiration, actually. In fact,
All right.
the hovel is small enough that you wonder how it could have held the things, the items that you have brought him.
Cool.
So Father Bloombad is not with you, and he comes up to a flap, and he looks back at Perderi and Rumple, and he says,
Anyone who has gone into this place, and I don't mean just my domain, but all of what you are about to see, there's no mortal that comes back the same.
and then he goes into a flap. At this point, the backside of the hut, the dimensions don't make sense, right? So like the hut is not that large, and he's gone through a flap, and like it doesn't, it doesn't line up with the dimensions of the hut. It disappears behind the flap.
Algar looks over his shoulder and says, Magnus, I have no fear whatsoever in your capacity to sense, to process what is about to occur. Flanagan, I know that you will complain vociferously, but ultimately be fine. Perderi, Rumbled, all I can say is I urge you to remain calm and remember that the world, as you know it, will still be there when you walk.
Is he going to change us from
No.
being just in here?
No. What he's going to change is your perspective. And I vanish into the room in following Algar. In following Ulmandark.
I heard of a waste and I found civilization. The people seem to look to you, so I trust your judgment on this. Father, if you would like assistance, I would be happy, but I must admit my curiosity has been piqued for weal or woe.
We're not going to get weird hands like that Flanagan fellow, are we?
You might. You just
might.
might.
No,
Yeah,
I didn't mean for you to hear that. I'm sorry.
Well, no, but it's true. You might.
Did I say that out loud?
I don't take
Just be
offense.
careful.
It's true.
Yeah, be careful what you touch.
Yeah, watch
And
for your shadows too. Sometimes, just keep an eye on your shadows. And I step in as well. I'm holding the gem that has the voice in it that claimed to be a being.
Hello, guy.
A dragon.
Prudery, are you staying? Prudery, are you going in?
It seems the father has gone silent. I shall go in unless he desires to not be left alone outside.
I think he just stepped. Oh, here he comes. Oh, maybe not.
I will go in.
Well, I'll go in. I'll go in. If you go in, I'll go in.
Well,
Right into the deep end.
be my guest.
No, after you. I insist.
Very well.
Everybody goes
Cross
in.
the threshold.
Yeah. So, this is hard to explain, so I'm gonna have to kind of explain. I'm gonna have to describe a couple of things, and then I'm gonna kind of describe what you would see as you pass by some things, and then it's gonna take a bit. Okay, so here's the first thing that happens. So you pull back the hide, and and it looks just like a cavernous part of the hut has been dug out. But then when you come out the other side, you're actually in this massive, tall, opulent Gothic hall. And there's this beautiful carpet, and there are hanging things. I don't know. It's like a grand Gothic receiving hall. Okay, and that's the first thing that you see when you step on the other side. When you look back, you no longer see the cavern of a hovel. You see a grand double door of iron, and as soon as you step through and you see people come through the door, you see Ulmandark, and at first he's like ahead of you, just kind of shuffling, his feathered cloak, just like shuffling ahead of you, and all of a sudden he shudders, and there's a crunching, slapping noise as he contracts into a long cylindrical thing. And he still looks like a long, gnarled finger. The top of his head that was once hair now looks like a long, dirty fingernail. His face still on the tip. This finger drags along the foyer of the floor, smearing something as it goes. Still looking at you, still talking.
Oh, God.
I like that so much. That's so gross. I love it.
He's got style. I'll say that. He's got style.
Yeah, he looks like he's turned into a finger. Outside the windows, you see a sky that is a pale, a twilight of a kind of sickly yellow with no sun. And off in the distance, now this image is actually, so I didn't have an image of what I was describing versus where you are. You are on this conical hill, so this is what you'd kind of see from the outside. You're on this tall conical hill, and you are in this adamantine tower, like the very adamantine case that was in the chapel of Sir Galahad. This entire tower, its exterior is made of this priceless, near magical metal, and it goes up hundreds of feet into the air atop this grand hill. And off in the distance, you see another tower. There's this like chasm, and then a narrow defile that like juts out into the chasm, and a tower that sits at the edge of the chasm, but the tower is upside down. And the base of the tower is at the top, and it's clear to you that this tower is jutting down at the edge of this defile. So that's what you see out of the window off in the distance. You can tell that this you did not come in the entrance to this tower, and you can see this grand, like a narrow, stony path that leads up to a grand door. And over the grand door outside is the skull of what looks like a large horse head, but the horse head also has a horn sticking out of it. And that's what's over the door. Okay, that's the things you see. And then Ullman is like attached, like a finger, and then being dragged, from whatever is connecting this finger along the floor. And he says, "Welcome to my tower."
I think if you turn and see what Flanagan's up to, he's against a wall. He's curled like I'm sitting here. He's kind of curled up on the ground, like he's squatted on the ground, and his head is down, and the hair is kind of over his head, and he's just like looking at the ground, like he looks like he's really shaken, and he's not participating. And he's got his staff out, and he's not even really looking up right now.
Well, it's no wonder you didn't want to join our guild.
A moment. I go to Flanagan and I say, I know it's frightening. It frightened me as well. But you're safe.
I've seen something like this before, I think, and I don't want to participate. I'm here, but you do what you need to do.
All right. Thank you, Flanagan.
The
first among my companions.
Fingers.
Pat on the back. Get moving again.
Yeah, it slides along the floor until it comes to a double door that's cracked open, and then bumps against it, kind of on a gnarled joint, and then slides into this double door left ajar. Its residue left upon the ground ahead of you.
What is that residue?
You want
How
to?
should I visualize that?
Whatever the stuff that a combination, like, slugs, they leave stuff.
Mhm.
Mucus.
Yeah,
That sort of
mucus, thank
mucosal-
you. But also
Yes.
like perspiration. So, like, because it's like coming from a finger.
I get you.
Anyways,
Algar probably doesn't pay any attention to it at all. But I wanted to know if it was like weird and colorful or something.
yeah, no, it's mundane, not iridescent, not colorful. Yeah, it's just mucus. Anyways, through this double door, you see the character of this place changes, and you're surrounded by strange smells again. And there are things on the walls. There are skulls of men, skulls of things that look like men but are just quite off. Skulls of monsters, fowls, baubles, sacrileges,
Skull.
hanging skins. There's all kinds of stuff hanging around here. Things bubbling. And there is a great chair against the far wall of this room made from mastodon. And you can see its great horns that loop around, and there are cryptic runes and crystals inset within it. And there is a silo, might be the right term, a stone silo. And
Plinth, maybe?
Oh, go ahead.
Is it like a plinth or a silo?
Like a vat, but a big, large
Oh.
stone vat that's like 15 feet tall. So yeah, I think like a silo, and there are two of these gnarled joints that come out. One of them, the one that led you, and it like retracts up and gets closer. And there's a mirror here. And then there is another gnarled joint that's sticking out, but you don't see where the finger leads. It goes through another door and it goes out somewhere else.
Okay.
Yeah.
Flanagan does not go into this room. Flanagan stays. I'm totally okay if I don't participate in this session. Flanagan is like by the door, still squatting. The door that we came in, that's turned into a metal door, whatever. And he's like, "You all go ahead. I'll watch the door, but I'm not going any further than this." And he glances up at the window at this horrible landscape and just looks back down again. And he says, "I'll stay here and I'll stay watch, but I'm not going any further."
Flanagan's the designated sane one. I love that guy.
Someone better be.
When you say gnarled joints, are you talking about the finger, like
Yeah.
Almond Dark himself?
Yeah, he's a finger.
So
Okay.
gross.
And then there's another one.
It's like a face, and what his hair used to be is like a big dirty fingernail now. And there's another one, but you don't see the finger. You just see the joints because it like goes off somewhere else down past the door, and you don't see where it goes.
Jeez.
And there are two of these things that are coming out of the silo. Yeah.
For Darius, just like mumbling to himself, what has become of the world? What is the part? What is the whole? And he's looking over to Flanagan, starting to think maybe he has the right idea.
Flanagan's just covered in sweat. He's wiping himself off, pale skin.
All right. And then the last gate then it comes to the mirror, the finger does. It retracts up to the silo, and then the finger like jolts up like this to where the Ullman face is looking at you all. It still has like an eye popping up out of the finger skin, and then like another eye, and it looks, and it's just like,
Algar, this is the last place before they see the truth about you. But this is the only place beyond that mirror that we can speak in privacy.
and I will actually message you this because now we're getting into secrets.
So cool.
Let's see
It's
here.
on Discord.
Discord, yeah, I'll message you on Discord.
While that message is being said, I'll say something effective. I believe that Magnus has already surmised something of what is going on. I believe that they are prepared to see the Tree of Life.
Well, I'm here. And this is a very nice tower, by the way.
You must be green with envy.
Well, it just reminds one that there's always something to aspire to.
There's always a bigger fish. The world is larger, my friend, than
How does it
you had dreamed to hope.
How does it compare to your decor, Magnus?
Oh, well. It depends. How many enslaved goblins do you have?
Okay.
Are we safe here?
Yes, this is perhaps one of the safest places you could be. I give you that on my honor. For the moment. When we are asked to leave, we should leave. But for now, you are safe here.
And
There is... What you've seen so far is strange, but what comes next may be too much for you. I would request that you stay here a moment with Flanagan while Magnus and I proceed ahead.
I do not know what I do not know, but what I do know now scares me. I will
tell you-
heed your warning.
I will tell you as honestly as I can what transpires when I return. But there are things there which you're not prepared to see, and there are things there which we must speak of, which you are not prepared to learn.
I agree with you.
Agnes. You
I
have earned my
suppose
trust.
I'm honored.
Prepare to be initiated into this strange thing that I am. And I walk into the mirror.
What about Rumple? It's just Magnus, right?
Rumple's welcome to follow if he dares.
Do a Rumple.
I don't know what to say. I'm honored that you're letting me be ushered into this, but I say this is most unusual.
If it's any consolation, it's unusual for me as well.
What's going to happen to you? We just met, and I don't.
We have
I
to
have
have
a
a
very-
conversation in private, that's all. It's just...
But he said something about changing. Are you going to undergo some kind of radical
No.
transformation?
No
Let's
more so
go
than I
find
already
out.
have.
Let's find out, my friend. The spice of
Ma-
life. Take a few
I will
steps
walk out of
forward.
this room the same man that I walked into it.
What's
That
the
is
worst that could happen? You lose your mind?
Well, you only live once. I'll go in. I'll go with you.
Okay. So, for what is about to happen, I'm going to stop the recording.